She hugged you, and you're sitting here hours later still thinking about it. Was it just friendly? Was it something more? Because something about that hug felt different. Here's what nobody tells you. A hug is never just a hug. Every single detail, where her hands land, how long she holds on, whether she pulls away first or doesn't pull away at all of it is broadcasting something she may not even realize she's saying out loud. And by the end of this video, you will know exactly what she meant. Let me tell you something that flipped my entire understanding of attraction upside down. UCLA researchers found that humans communicate up to 93% of their emotional state nonverbally. 93%. That means that in the most important moments, the moments where someone is trying to tell you "I like you," they are barely using words at all. And the most loaded, most misread, most emotionally packed nonverbal signal between two people. A hug, not a text, not a compliment, a hug. Because a hug requires the body to show up. And the body, unlike the mouth, does not lie. Now, here's what makes this genuinely fascinating and slightly terrifying if you've been missing it. Women specifically use touch as a primary language of emotional connection. Dr. David Given, an anthropologist who has spent decades studying human courtship behavior, says that touch is the single most powerful signal of romantic interest because it bypasses the brain's logical filters. She can think about what she says. She cannot think about every single thing her body does when she's near someone she's drawn to. So if she hugged you and it felt like something, you were probably right. But here's where it gets interesting. Not every hug means the same thing. In fact, some hugs that feel warm are actually the friendliest thing she could do. And some hugs that seem casual, they are absolutely electric with subtext. I'm going to walk you through every type of hug, what each one actually means from a female psychology perspective, and the tiny details most people completely miss. By the end of this, you won't just understand her hug. You'll understand her. Let's get into it. Before we break down specific hug types, you need to understand why a hug is such a reliable signal. When two people hug, the brain releases oxytocin, often called the bonding hormone. Here's the catch, though. Oxytocin doesn't release equally in all hugs. Research published in the journal Comprehensive Psychoneuroendocrinology found that oxytocin release is significantly higher in hugs between people who are romantically interested in each other compared to platonic ones. The body literally knows the difference, even when the mind is playing it cool. This was shocking to me when I first came across it. Your nervous system is essentially voting on your attraction level every time you make physical contact with someone. And it votes honestly. Now, here's another layer. Women are on average more touch-sensitive than men. Studies in tactile research consistently show that women have a higher density of touch receptors in their skin, particularly around the arms, hands, and upper body. This means a woman experiences a hug with more neurological detail than most men do. So, when she hugs you in a specific way, she's not doing it accidentally. Her body is making thousands of micro-decisions in that 3 to 5 second window. Where to put her hands, how close to pull you in, whether to rest her head, whether to breathe, whether to let go. All of that is data. And here's the thing nobody talks about. Women are also far more deliberate about initiating touch than most people assume. A 2012 study from the University of Nebraska found that women initiate touch far less frequently than men in early interactions. But when they do initiate, it is almost always a meaningful signal. Almost always. So if she initiated that hug, pay very close attention to what comes next. This is the one. This is the hug that makes people write posts at midnight asking if someone likes them. The full body hug is when she doesn't just lean in with her upper body. She comes in completely. Her chest, her torso, her whole frame presses into yours. There's no deliberate gap, no polite distance maintained. She closes every inch of space between you like the space itself was the problem. Here's what's happening psychologically. Personal space is protection. Every human being carries an invisible bubble around their body. Proxemics researchers call it the intimate zone, which extends roughly 18 in from the body. We only willingly let people into that zone when we feel completely safe or when we want them there. When she gives you a full body hug, she is not just tolerating your presence in her intimate zone. She is inviting you into it actively, enthusiastically. Now, here's the detail that separates a full-body hug that is friendly from one that is romantic. The duration. Psychologist Dr. Jan Astrom's research on hugging found that most casual friendly hugs last between 1 and 3 seconds. 3 seconds. That's it. If a hug goes past the 3-second mark and she is not pulling away, that is not an accident. She's choosing to stay. And if she's not just staying, but settling in, shifting her weight, adjusting her arms, getting comfortable, that's her body saying it doesn't want this moment to end. That is not a friendship hug. That is a hug from someone who thinks about you when you're not around. Some hugs are affectionate, some are polite, and then there's the hug where she rests her head on your chest. This one hits differently. And for a very specific reason rooted in biology, the left side of the chest is where the heartbeat is most audible. And instinctively, when someone feels emotionally safe and drawn to another person, they position themselves to hear that heartbeat. Researchers who study maternal bonding have documented this same behavior. It's an ancient primal comfort signal. So, when she rests her head on your chest, especially on the left side, her nervous system is seeking comfort in your proximity. She is not just accepting your presence. She is using you as a place of peace. That's enormous. This is the hug that often accompanies a long exhale, where she actually breathes out like she's been holding something in. Pay attention to that. When a woman exhales deeply during a hug, it is a physiological release of tension. Her body just decided it's safe to relax around you. Now, the hand placement during this type of hug is critical. If her arms wrap fully around her waist or lower back, not your shoulders, not an A-frame around your neck, she is anchoring herself to you. Upper body hugs are surface level. Waist and lower back hugging is intimate. That distinction matters enormously. There's a reason slow dances involve holding the waist. There's a reason it feels different, and she knows it, too, even if she'd never say it out loud. Here's a confession from a female psychology perspective. The hug from behind is almost never casual. This is the hug where she comes up behind you, wraps her arms around you, and rests against your back. And the reason this one is so telling is simple. It requires choosing to be vulnerable. Think about it. Coming up behind someone removes your ability to read their face. You can't gauge their reaction. You are committing to the hug before you even know how it will be received. That takes a level of comfort and desire that you simply don't have with someone you're only friendly with. The hug from behind says, I want to be close to you, and I'm not even nervous about it anymore. There's an ease to it that is actually the result of strong emotional investment, not a lack of it. Interestingly, Dr. Gibbons' work on courtship behavior notes that rear approaches coming close to someone from behind are consistently observed in romantic pairs at a much higher rate than in platonic ones. Because in evolutionary terms, allowing someone behind you is the ultimate trust signal. You're not watching them. You're just trusting them. And when a woman does this casually, like it's the most natural thing in the world, that casualness is the tell. She's done thinking about whether to touch you. She's past that. She's at the stage where touching you just feels right to her. If this has happened to you and you've been questioning it, stop questioning it. This is the one that people never talk about, and absolutely should. The hug ends, or rather, it almost ends. She pulls back slightly, but she doesn't step away. And in that moment, instead of releasing you completely, she looks at you. Direct eye contact, close range, neither of you moving. This exact moment has a name in behavioral psychology. It's called a gaze linger, and it is one of the most reliable pre-intimate signals humans display. Dr. Arthur Aaron, whose research on interpersonal closeness is taught in universities worldwide, found that mutual sustained eye contact at close range is one of the fastest ways to create feelings of romantic connection, and sometimes within minutes. Here's why that matters in the context of a hug. She had an exit. The hug was over. She could have stepped back, laughed, said something, moved away. Instead, she stayed in your space and held your eyes. That pause is not an accident. That pause is a question she's asking without words. And here's the genuinely fascinating part. If she tucks her chin slightly downward and looks up at you during that moment, That is a textbook submissive display that primatologists and human behavioral researchers associate directly with romantic interest. It's a gesture that says you have my full attention and I am not pretending otherwise. Nobody looks at someone like that by accident. Nobody. Let's talk about the hug that means almost nothing romantically and why that matters just as much. The side hug. One arm bodies at a slight angle. Zero torso contact. This is the hug of someone who wants to be polite but not close. It's the hug you give to your friend's parents at Thanksgiving. It's the hug you give when someone initiates and you're not sure how you feel about them yet. Now, here's where it gets interesting from a psychological standpoint. The side hug is often intentional distance. Research on personal space and touch avoidance shows that when someone is deliberately maintaining physical distance through a side hug, it often correlates with emotional distance, not coldness, not dislike, but a deliberate choice to manage intimacy levels. So, if she consistently gives you the side hug, while giving other people full hugs, that is a piece of data worth noting. It doesn't mean she dislikes you. It might mean she's managing something. Perhaps she's aware of her own feelings and isn't ready to be too close yet. Or it might mean you're firmly in the friend category. Context is everything. One side hug tells you very little. A consistent pattern of side hugs while she full hugs everyone else. That tells you a lot. Watch the pattern, not just the moment. This one is chaotic and adorable and entirely telling. The hug goes longer than expected, and then she pulls away. Maybe laughs, maybe looks away, maybe fidgets with her hair or her sleeve. She's suddenly busy with something very important. Her phone, her bag, the middle distance. Here's what just happened. She got caught. Her body stayed longer than she planned. And the moment she realized it, she became self-conscious about it. The laugh, the sudden distraction, the avoiding eye contact. These are all deflection. Behaviors that psychologists associate with caught vulnerability. She felt something she wasn't ready for you to see. And now she's buying herself time to recalibrate. This is one of the most genuinely sweet signals a woman can send. And most people completely misread it as awkwardness. It is not awkwardness about you. It's awkwardness about her own feelings. There's actually a term for this in behavioral psychology. Behavioral leakage. It's when the body accidentally reveals what the mind was trying to conceal. The too long hug was the leak. The laugh was the cover-up. Together, they tell you more than she probably wanted you to know. And that honestly is kind of wonderful. There is one more physical detail that gets almost no attention, and it is arguably the most specific signal of all. The squeeze. Not the hug itself. The moment within the hug where she tightens her arms, even briefly, a single deliberate increase in pressure. This is not a reflexive action. Squeezing requires muscular intention. Your brain has to send a signal to your arms to contract more firmly, which means in that fraction of a second, something in her decided, I want more of this. Dr. Tiffany Field, director of the Touch Research Institute at the University of Miami. Yes, that is a real place where people research touch for a living, which is honestly a beautiful career choice, has documented extensively that increased pressure in a hug correlates with emotional intensity. It's not just warmth, it's emphasis. The squeeze is her body putting a period at the end of a sentence. It's the emotional equivalent of italics. She's not just hugging you, she's meaning it. If you felt a squeeze and wondered if you imagined it, you didn't. Now, here's the part that nobody gives you, and it might be the most important piece of all. Understanding what her hug means is only half the equation. The other half is what you do with that information. And this is where most people fumble the ball completely. The biggest mistake, overthinking it into paralysis. You collect all this data. You analyze every detail of the hug, and then you do nothing because you're not sure. Because, what if you're wrong? Because it's scary. Here's the reality check. Attraction has a window. Research on romantic timing consistently shows that when mutual attraction exists and is left unacknowledged for too long, it shifts. People move on. The tension dissipates. The moment passes. You don't get unlimited time to figure out if the hug meant something. So here's what you do with this knowledge. You use it to calibrate your response, not to write a dissertation. If she gave you a full body lingering hug with eye contact after, you don't need a peer-reviewed study to tell you she's interested. You need to show up more intentionally in her space. Initiate a real conversation. Be present with her. Attraction is not a puzzle to be solved. It's an invitation to be accepted and the most attractive response to a signal. A response that shows you notice that you're confident and that you're not going to make it weird. You now have more insight into her psychology than most people ever get. Use it with warmth. Use it with humor. Use it like someone who actually cares about the person in front of them, not just the signal they sent. That is what actually works. So, let's land this plane. She hugged you, and you came here with a question. I hope by now that question has an answer, or at least a much clearer map. A full body hug that lingers. She's drawn to you. A head-on. Your chest with a slow exhale. She feels safe with you in a way she doesn't with just anyone. A squeeze. She meant it. Eye contact after the hug ends, and neither of you moves. That's the universe giving you a green light, friend. And the side hug. Take notes. Watch the pattern. Knowledge is always better than wishful thinking. The beautiful thing about understanding female psychology is that it doesn't make connection feel clinical. It actually makes it feel more human, because you stop second-guessing every moment and start actually being present in them. You stop translating. You start listening. Here's my challenge to you, and this is a real one. Think about the last meaningful hug you received. Go back to it in your memory. Apply what you just learned. Was there a squeeze? Did she stay longer than the polite 3 seconds? Did she rest her head? Did the eye contact happen? You now know what it meant. Sit with that. Now, before you close this video and go spiral about someone's hug for the next 6 hours, there's something you need to watch next. And I'm not saying this casually. There's a video that picks up exactly where this one leaves off. And it's going to genuinely catch you off guard. Because while this video was about how she holds you, the next one is about where she lets you touch her. And that distinction, that's where female psychology gets really specific, really revealing. It's called the one place she lets you touch it reveals everything. And the research behind it is the kind of thing that makes you look back at your entire history with women and say, oh, I was missing this the whole time. The science in that video is not what you expect. The answer is not what you think. And once you know it, you cannot unknow it. It's on your screen right now. Watch it. You'll understand why I'm making this such a strong recommendation the moment the first 30 seconds play. Go right now.